Yo, what is going on, my fellow weebs? Chrono here, and welcome back to the channel. So today's video is going to be a bit weird, a bit different. It's going to be a kind of a quick little PSA video, because I know some people have been looking for farms to do. And while it isn't always like the most efficient to do something outside of farming deck space for like a million years, while I was in the middle of this whole, like, how do I want to call it, a departure from what I planned on doing with my gearing process, learned a little bit about Melota. And funny enough, Melota Outer, while it isn't the first farm you would think of to do to make money, it's actually a pretty solid farm overall, even if you're not simply here to make a new weapon. So I decided to go ahead and set up a, oh, of course this dies. I decided to go ahead and set up a Wix and Unwix weapon, and I wanted to have the fastest way I could get to get these the evil, what are they called, evil volts or whatever the heck they're called. I want to get these evil volt 2s as quickly as I could, and essentially these tend to drop primarily from boss enemies. They do drop from level 92 enemies or 95 enemies and above in general. They drop primarily from boss enemies, at least in times 2s. So I was looking for the best way to do that, and between, of course, Cat, as you guys know, on ship 2, who runs a lot of the Arcs record stuff, and then of course my chat, we found that Melota Outer 1 is actually really good for farming these items. And these are probably the more difficult items to farm out of everything that you need. So if you're in a position where you're like, hey, you know what, I need to go ahead and I want to farm up another weapon, or maybe you're like, hey, I would like to, make a bit of extra money, just head over to Melota 1. Now I know for some people it's difficult because they're like, hey, look, you're a streamer, you've got a bunch of people that want to play with you, so on and so forth. I'll be honest, during this marathon has been kind of like one of the lower points of our streams for a lot, and it hasn't really gone well for like a huge number of farms. What we have been doing, however, is primarily just calling out we're doing the farm. I have a couple of group chats that I'm in. I also have my alliance, and then as well as just the populated block at that time. For example, it was like Redum 2, I think, and just called out, hey, going over to SEGA 2 to do a do Melota Outer farm. If you want to join, I called out what it was useful for. So it's useful for DK5s because, of course, veteran spawn here, as well as farming materials for making your weapon. If you're someone who makes weapons for multiple classes, or maybe you make multiple weapons with multiple fixes like I do, like I'm going to plan to do from now on, since it's so easy to make so many weapons as it is, you might want to have to do this. Like, I have some people that do play multiple classes, they have multiple weapons to farm. It's actually pretty useful for those people. You can farm up things like I think Gladiasoul stuff drops here, as well as well, I think it's primarily just for Grand Dread Keeper 2 for the most part. I want to say not Gladiasoul, it was GGM, Bland, Gigas Maste. The naming scheme's all kind of all over the place. I kind of hate it. But yeah, this is just a quick video to say Melota Outer 1 is pretty solid to farm. It's not too difficult to get started. Don't be afraid to farm like early on by yourself, or maybe with 1 or 2 friends. Maybe there's only 3 of you guys. Just kill some enemies, and then as soon as bosses or trials spawn, go kill those trials as quickly as you possibly can. The longer you farm, you'll find that more people will start to join in. Just pick a populated block, make sure there's no password on, let people know where you're going to be, and then just go ham. That's pretty much it. I'm going to go ahead and pause the video here, and I'm going to finish out my hour, and then I'll let you guys know how we did for the upgrade items primarily, and a little bit of an idea of what we're looking like for the dreads or the DK5s. All right, with that, an hour has passed. Let's take a look at how we've done for Dread Keepers. If I pull up my Dread Keepers. So we're 86. I think I was at like, I want to say in the 60s range when I first came in, so about 20 in an hour. Not great. We didn't get a whole lot of dread spawns. And again, this is the first hour, so it's a bit slow at first. So nothing too crazy there. As you can see, the room has gotten much bigger. We're at 23 right now. Usually if you're in the populated block, you're in one of these rooms, if people are looking for a room to join for these, they'll flock to your room, and it's a 32-man room. So just want to make sure you leave it open. And like I said beforehand, you're focused primarily on killing bosses. You can see a boss just spawned. We're gonna head down there in just a moment as soon as I, wrap this video. But we'll take a look at how we did for our Ectovolts. I just type 2. And as you can see, we're at 140. That's actually pretty substantial. We only did an hour here, right? I want to say I had around 60 of these. So that's pretty good. That's almost 80 of those in an hour. That's wild. We're almost done. So the next hour, we'll finish up our other weapon and we'll be all good to go. So yeah, this is really, really good. If you're looking to farm an extra weapon, I would highly recommend just heading over to Melota. Of course, DK5s are a pretty solid farm. It is a bit RNG because it depends on how often you get the enemies to spawn for you. They don't spawn consistently. Basically, you're just looking for... oh, I'll make sure I don't die here. Basically, you're looking for dreads to spawn. You're just killing bosses as they spawn. Just chase trials consistently the entire time and ignore everything else. If there's an enemy up and there's a trial up, you go for the trial, ignore the enemy. So just continue to run trials, finish them up, do the best you can about taking them down, and you'll find that you get more or less everything you need. Now, you do want to make sure that you kill this boss whenever it spawns. If you're not killing this boss when it spawns, no other trials spawn. So you can't ignore him. You do have to kill him. You do want to make sure you take him out as quick as possible. And it's not too bad to kill him, honestly. Even in a small room, everything scales, so it's not too bad at all. Just make sure you're able to take him down. If you aren't geared, it's going to be more difficult, of course. Less gear you have, less damage you're dealing, the more difficult these bosses are. So it is better to be somewhat geared. It's the whole point of doing these things is to actually make some money, get geared up. That way you can make these farms more efficient for yourselves. And we can farm your fashion more efficiently and all that good stuff. So I recommend running Melota. It's actually really, really goated. This also, keep in mind, this only really works if you're premium as well, because you're not really able to sell this stuff. So if you need these items, this is nice. But if you're looking just to sell them and you're not premium, that is going to limit your sales. It's going to limit how much money you can make, because you'll have to wait for your shop passes, which if you're good about your shop pass, is not the end of the world, but it does limit you overall. And at that point in time, if you're looking just to make money, I would probably still recommend deck space, just because it's consistent and you don't have to worry about the market at all. So anyway, that's it. Like I said, short PSA video, probably not as short as it could have been, but I tend to yap quite a bit. We are still live. We will still be live when this is going on. Not be in PS2 specifically, but we'll be still playing. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to hop over to the stream, ask either over YouTube or over on Twitch. I also stream on Twitter, funny enough, so you can ask there too. I'm more than happy to ask her, or to answer. All right, guys, that's pretty much it. Like if you enjoyed the video. So if you want to keep up with more, as always, thanks to channel members. Love your faces. You guys are awesome. I will see you guys in the next video. Take care, my friends. Peace out.